Good evening, everyone. My name is Meg Wheeler. I am the Democratic candidate for the Massachusetts State Senate in the Plymouth and Norfolk District. And I'm here tonight for our weekly community check-in. And I just thank everyone who is here watching live and for everyone who watches this on the replay. So first and foremost, I hope that every single one of you out there is healthy and that your family is staying safe and healthy through the COVID-19 pandemic, through the incredible civil rights unrest that this country is experiencing right now. I think, this is clearly a year in which we as a community and as a society are being tested. And I also think it's in many ways a turning point for really looking at, what we're going to do about some of these systemic problems in our communities. And if we're willing to finally speak out and affect change, or if we will, in fact, just return to the status quo that we were in before. And I think what's been so incredibly hopeful for me is that over the last few weeks, especially, I've seen so many people become a part of this conversation about racism, about just systemic inequality, who have never engaged in this conversation before. And these are difficult conversations. The work that especially white people need to do right now is incredibly difficult, but it is necessary in order for us to truly move towards being an anti-racist society. The words of Angela Davis ring very loudly in my mind of, it is not enough to simply be not racist, that we must be actively anti-racist. And that for me is what's been a shift, I think, over the last few weeks. What I've seen in a lot of people as a shift is this transformation from this idea of being not racist to this idea of what actions do we need to take to truly be anti-racist. It's something we've been looking at on our campaign. It's something I've been looking at in my personal life. It's something I've been looking at in my business. And it's very much been a part of the conversations I've been having with community members, with friends, with family. And I am hopeful, cautiously hopeful, when I look around at our communities and I see the support and the solidarity from so many community members for the Black community, for this just immense issue. Whether it was the protests that we saw in Weymouth and Cohasset and Scituate and Hull and and Hingham and the vigil in Hingham, the vigil in Cohasset, the vigil in Hull. In fact, Hull, Hull did an incredible virtual vigil as well for those who were unable to attend in person, which I thought was just a really nice way to make that moment more inclusive. I think all over this district, we've seen people react and respond to George Floyd's horrific murder, to the murder of Breonna Taylor and the countless other people in the Black community whose lives were tragically taken by police violence. And we've seen people react and respond in their own ways. But again, what gives me hope is that we're starting to have meaningful conversations about racism and about the role of white people in being actively anti-racist and in working towards dismantling systemic racism. And, this is not work that happens overnight. It's not work that happens just now in this year. This is ongoing work that is so critical for us to do, because too many of our, Black neighbors and Black friends and members of the Black community are suffering as a result of just massive racial inequality and injustice in this country. And you know, this is a problem that we all need to solve. It's something that we cannot let go on for any longer. And so, I am I am here to do the work, and I am here to be a part of those conversations, and I am here listening. Um, and I welcome everyone in this community who is doing that as well. um, we're also still dealing with the COVID-19 pandemic. It's for many of us, it may have been easy to forget that that was still going on, if we weren't personally affected by it as much as others. But there are still people dying every single day here in Massachusetts as a result of COVID-19. There are still, I believe it's about 1,500 people still hospitalized right now all over our country. Even though many states have reopened completely, we are seeing COVID-19 cases go up. So this has not gone away. And here in Massachusetts, we're on the verge. Well, not really on the verge. We've reopened some things. We're on the verge of some pretty big things reopening. Dining in restaurants outside, but dining in restaurants, schools, daycares reopening. As the mom of a 3-year-old, it weighs very heavily on my mind. Will we send him back? And we have that luxury in a sense, to make that decision. Too many parents don't have that luxury, and we're very cognizant of that. But that is weighing on our mind. And I'm looking at the just incredible list of things that our schools are, having to do, our daycare facilities are having to do in order to welcome our kids back. And I give them so much credit for their strength through all of this, because we are asking these small businesses to radically overhaul their processes and procedures and implement things that are not just expensive and in many cases difficult, but that are also unsettling. We had a call with my son's current teachers yesterday, and near the end of the call, they put on the masks that they'll be wearing when he goes back. And that was haunting for me as as an adult, as a mom. I can only imagine how haunting that is for our kids. And so I think I think we need to remember that this is not over, and there are still so many people who are at risk of COVID-19. There are so many people who are struggling as a result of it. We certainly know, as we've talked about before, that the economic effects of this, will likely be long lasting. But there's so many other considerations here as well. And I think it's easy as the weather gets nicer and we all are getting a bit stir crazy, for those of us who have been at home, to want to go out and to want to return to life as normal. And I think we just need to remember that, this could have been a lot worse if not for the steps that so many of us took. It was still incredibly, incredibly awful, and far too many people passed away as a result of COVID-19. But it's important, it's critical that as we reopen and send our kids back to school and go to restaurants and get our hair done and go shopping and all of that we continue to take important steps to protect, especially the vulnerable populations of our communities, wearing masks, socially distancing, being respectful of small business owners who are doing their best and are trying to put, this just immense list of guidelines into place. And, I've already heard of daycares closing, certainly small businesses closing, and we have a lot of repairing and rebuilding to do. And so, I think the more we can continue to exercise caution, the sooner we'll be able to start that difficult work. I also do want to say, as someone who has struggled with mental illness in the past, I am incredibly cognizant right now of how difficult everything with COVID-19 pandemic has been, now with the civil rights unrest in our country. And emotions are running, at an incredible high. And, I think for a lot of people, being stuck at home or not being able to see family or interact with friends, or go about your daily life has been very difficult. I mean, it's been incredibly difficult for so many of us. And then when you add on the additional burden of mental health challenges, I think it's twofold. And it's my message, if anything, is this: to remember that a lot of us are fighting battles that you may know nothing about, that a lot of us are fighting silently, and that this, in as much as we're able to, should be a time for compassion and a time for support and a time for helping each other get through whatever it is that we're struggling with right now. It came to our attention just a few days ago that someone who had volunteered on our campaign had passed away, who was struggling. And, I think anytime you hear about something like that, it's a tragic reminder that oftentimes what we project, our strength, is not what's going on inside. And I think that's why it's so incredibly important that we, check on our friends, we check on our neighbors. We come from a place of compassion. We remember that we're all just trying right now to get through everything. And, I truly believe that we need each other to get through this. And so, that is what I'm taking with me this week, and what I'm keeping close to mind is, where can we be a source of compassion? Where can we be a source of support? Where can we perhaps be that glimmer of hope for someone who feels as though all hope is lost? And I would encourage community members, and especially our Black community members, who are, in many cases dealing with COVID-19 and the effects of that, the economic recession and the instability there, and then now, have added on this added unrest, something that our Black community members are always dealing with. This is not a new thing, but it has now been thrust into the spotlight, and in many cases feels untenable. So, I am sending strength and support and love out to all of you. If there's ever anything you need, please reach out to us. hello@megwheeler.com. You can message us here wherever you're watching us. We will connect you with the right resources. We will connect you with, whatever it is that you need. But I want everyone to know that this is, that this is the time for us to truly come together as a community. And this is a really hard time, but I am hopeful. I have seen signs of change. I've seen promise of change, not just words, but actions. And that gives me hope. And if you are feeling hopeless right now, I will loan you some of mine. until you find it yourself, because we have a lot of work to do. And I think that we will come out of 2020. I think we have the opportunity here to come out of 2020 with a renewed focus on being the America that I believe we can be. But that does not happen unless we all speak out together and we do the difficult work and we show up for each other. So I'm going to leave it there. Again, I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. If you are out there protesting, if you are out there, at the vigils, thank you for showing up. Thank you for being there. If you are not able to do that, but are, working towards progress in other ways, thank you for that. We will be sharing more about what we're doing. But we will also, more importantly, be really working to elevate the voices of those in the Black communities that have been silenced for too long. And I think that's far more important work. So I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. I hope you are, if there's anything at all that you need, please reach out to us. And I will be back here next week for another community check-in. Bye for now.